Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon all of you. And guten Morgen. Ich bin eine Berlinerin. Did I pronounce it good? Thank you so much, Mayor Francesca, for inviting me to this very important meeting. And as I told you yesterday, that today we, 3 Nobel Women Laureate, will be in the United Nations. We will meet the Deputy Secretary General, Amina Mohammed, the Deputy Secretary General of the UN, Amina Mohammed, and we will tell her and discuss with her about our visit to Ukraine. So, but I got this invitation before this meeting, then I choose to come to Berlin to speak with people in Berlin and to make my sisters, Judy Williams from America and Lima Boy from Liberia, to talk about our trip and also to talk about on behalf of me. So I'm so proud to be with you, Berlinian people and German people, in this very important conference. I'm saying that it is very important conference because it is a conference that will discuss democracy and freedom, and it's shaped for democracy in Berlin. And that means a lot. That means that Berlin should take its responsibility to protect democracy around the world. From the first moment of the fall of Berlin Wall, this is your duty as a German people and as a people belong to this country to protect your democracy and to protect all the democracy around the world, to protect all the dreams of people for democracy, for dignity, and for freedom, and for rule of law. And also, when I got the invitation and I read that the conference will be in the ICC, I said, oh my God, ICC, it's a good, it will be a good beginning of my speech by telling people there, the ICC in the international language, it is the International Criminal Court. So that's good. That's good to gather these people every year in ICC to remind your rule to strengthen International Criminal Court. This international organization should take its responsibility to trial every dictator in the world, every war criminal in the world. And this is your rule. This is your rule. And I think with you, Francesca, I really like your speech. I really like your energy. And I want to bet on you as a strong leader that should put Germany and Berlin in its right way, to protect the dreams of people, to don't ally with dictators around the world, to stop those dictators of killing their people, of stealing the wealth of their people, and to stop any policy from Germany as a strong country and as a country that suffers from dictatorship, from any kind of relationship with dictators. Those dictators that Germany made relationship with, or international community, or especially the democratic country, they pose the greatest risk against the global peace and against the democracy. Now we are gathering today at this conference also to confront the unprecedented global challenges at a time when Europe is experiencing several serious challenges, especially the Russian war on Ukraine and its implications like the energy and food crisis, global turmoil, and tension in the international relations. This invasion complete the circle of turning back on democracy. And yes, democracy around the world is really under danger, is really under threat. In the democratic countries and also in the emergent democratic countries, in the countries that has first steps for democracy. With the democratic countries, we are seeing the rising of the populism. We are saying the liberal democrat is under threat, the autocrats are taking hold, they are crushing dissent, controlling media, trampling voting rights. And also in the democratic countries, we see how the rise of populism is destroying the democracy from the bottom. And at the same time, with the COVID-19 pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic threatened more than lives and livelihood of people throughout the world. It is also political crisis that threaten democracy. Authoritarian regimes are using this pandemic and any other pandemic that will come to silence criticism and tighten democratical and tighten the political grip. They use the pandemic to silence any voice, to limit people from making demonstrations, from making sit-ins, for saying no to any other problem than the pandemic. But even some democratically elected governments are fighting the pandemic by emergency powers that restrict human rights and democracy. So I want to go back to about how democracy is threatened and how the Western countries, and here I'm talking about Western countries, and I don't talk about China and Russia as an authoritarian regimes. I'm talking about democratic countries that claim that they are democrat and that claim they are supporting the democracy. And also I will talk about the democracy in Arab region and Middle East in general. Talking about democracy in the Arab world, the Middle East, and North Africa is often a reason for the dictatorial regime to mobilize all their capabilities to talk about the United States and Western conspiracy aimed to destabilizing and destroying our countries by using us, as they claim, means using us, that means that America and Western, they're using us, which is us is the opponent, women activists, human rights activists, journalists, and politicians, etc. So the irony is that these dictatorship regimes have close ties with democratic nations, like United States and the West, while they commit gross violations against human rights, taking advantage of and hiding behind these relations. So it is shameful that this kind of alliance continue to exist between democratic nation and dictatorship regimes. It is shameful that this alliance continues to strike democracy. Since 2011 Arab Spring, there has been a clear battle between the camp of democracy and human rights and the camp of anti-democracies led by Saudi Arabia, Emirates, and Iran. They have been working day and night to stop the people of our region from becoming free societies and march toward democracy. They commit all kinds of crimes against their own people, such as wars, military and militia coups, and by terrorizing their own citizens. The dictatorship in the Arab world are using all kinds of tools of oppression against their opponents. They are now classifying Democrats and human rights advocates as terrorists and taking advantage of the lack of a just and independent judiciary system. Thousands of activists defending democracy and human rights belonging to different political and religious movements are languishing in Arab prisons and detention centers accused of supporting terrorism. Democratic Western nations should know that the authoritarian regimes embody the essence of corruption, instability, and the ongoing inhuman practices against their own people, often lead to instability and turmoil that can extend far beyond the borders of the countries that suffer from these regimes and become threats to peace worldwide. So it's very, very important that Western countries, their policy, to correct their policy. It's very important that Western countries, government, to correct their policy toward the authoritarian regimes, especially in the Arab world. The tyrant and human rights violator must not feel unreachable by international accountability and justice. And unfortunately, we see something opposite. Here in Germany, for example, German authority received the dictator of Egypt, Sisi. France received Mohammed bin Salman. Biden himself visited Saudi Arabia. So all these dictators, they are against democracy as an idea from the beginning. And they are the killers of their people. And they are the reason of the global peace. So why do you receive them? Why do you recognize them? When Western government take the benefits over its values, the Western and the democratic countries started to fail. When you give up your values, that is the moment that you fail. And that is the moment that you strengthen and give power to Putin and to China authority. Tell me why Putin dared to invade Ukraine. I visited Ukraine. I saw how did Putin committed war crimes there. He destroyed the country totally, displaced people, killed them, arresting them, and threatened the global peace, threatened other European countries. Why Putin commit this very dangerous step? Why? Because what called democratic country, what called Western governments, what called international community, give him the green light to invade Syria and to kill people in Syria and to help the dictator Bashar al-Assad. The same thing will happen. Don't think that alliance with those dictators that will save your interests in their countries. No. The dictators defend each other, protect each other, and when the time comes, they choose to be with each other, and they will ignore you totally. And that is happening also in the crisis with the war of Ukraine and Russia. What did Saudi Arabia and Emirates did for you? They blackmail Western countries. They didn't stand with Europe as something that we are good allies, so we should defend on it. No, They are closer to Putin than you. So what is the solution to protect your democracy, not our democracy? Your democracy is to protect your values and to commit of your values, the values of freedom and democracy and justice and rule of law. Protect your values for your nations. And all this, the fleeing of the refugees and all the problems that came here in the Western countries, it is because you abandoned your values. And here, I want to say that the West also, I talked about Saudi Arabia, I talked about Emirates, I talked about Russia, I talked about somehow in China, but also it's very important to talk also about Iran, which is one of the most important country that suffer from dictatorship and most important country that caused chaos and wars in Arab region and caused instability around the world. So the West must also show a great deal of fairness toward Iran's crimes in our region and its policies to destabilizing security and stability in Arab region in general, in my country, Yemen in particular, Syria and Iraq. We are so worried that the West tends to tolerate Iranian behavior and crimes in return for persuading or convincing it to sign the nuclear deal. And this will be another big mistake that European countries will commit. Finally. Yes, please.
Thank you so much, Tawakkol. We're just wrapping up. One final point, yeah.
Finally, I will talk about fake news because I am a member of the, my journey to human rights started from the protecting expression rights. So it's very important when we talk about fake news, at the same time, we should also talking about protecting expression rights. And we shouldn't take fake news as a tool to attack expression rights. I believe that the basis of disinformation and lies starts from the political orientations adopted to serve the interests of countries that do not care about the truth and disregard the values of press freedom and human rights. They spread the disinformation and lies and create electronic militias to use propaganda campaigns based on fabrication, lies, and deception in order to confuse the truth and confuse public opinion. So let's be together to face all these lies that were produced by those organized campaigns that produce all these lies and disinformation. I am now a board member of Oversight Board of Facebook and Instagram. From my position, I'm doing all my effort to protect the expression rights of every user in the Facebook and Instagram, at the same time to fight all the hatred, all the disinformation, and all the fake news and discrimination in this platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you.